Okay. Man, you guys have a lot of problems here. So I flew from Dallas, Texas yesterday to come here, not to kind of tell you what you want to hear, but to tell you what you need to hear. First of all, with all the great speakers you've had today, the one thing that I keep hearing is all the problems you have, and how women, how you don't think a certain way, how you don't feel a certain way, how men don't give you this, that, and the other. Ladies, young people, older women, it's on us. If you have to know the power you don't know you have, right? Write that down. Know the power you don't know you have. Because all these things that we're talking about from the 80s and the 90s and 2000 until today, we have an absolute opportunity to change perception and reality of, quite frankly, I don't give a damn what he says. I care about what I say. You know, the way I grew up, I had no father, no food, no electricity, nothing. I was hopeless and helpless at 8, 9, 10 years old. And at that age, look, I am 60 years old. Okay, so this is back and forth with me and you. This is your chance to say, you don't look like 60, Nancy. But the most important thing is we determine probability and outcome. We determine what we think. I'm going to be, anybody know Eminem? I know you guys don't. But you guys know Eminem? I am who I say I am. You don't get to tell me who I am. So I decide if I can play against men. I decide if I can coach against men. I decide if I can be an Olympian at 16, 17 years old. You can cut me, but you can't stop me from giving the best of who I am. So before I get into all this crazy stuff about the men here in Israel, I want to talk to the women. You have to have belief in yourself. You have to have self-confidence. If you allow people to steal your will, your want, your vision, stop pointing fingers at men. That's your responsibility. I am a mom. I am a coach. I've been a wife. You can have it all. You can be athletic. You can be fit. You can be anything you want in this lifetime. If you don't believe in you, why should I believe in you? So you have to have some responsibility. And then all the stuff that's been up here on these PowerPoints, they become moot. Because we change the cycle of what we think we can be in life. You know, it was Mother's Day on Sunday, and some of you know that my son, TJ Klein, plays for Holon. And he wrote me this beautiful card. And he says, Mom, you're my rock, you're my hero, you're my vision, and you're my mentor. And he says, I'm talking about on and off the court. I sat in the airport in Dallas bawling, you know, big, strong Nancy. I was bawling because I knew that I was able to affect my child. We have the power to change how people think. And quite frankly, and I'm just really honest, maybe it's because I'm from New York, if there's older gentlemen who don't think that we should coach or we should have opportunity or we can be their equals, the good news is this: they're not going to be here much longer. They're going to die. I'm not talking to you guys, okay? Oh, sorry. See, I'm a point guard. I have that vision. It's okay. Look, my grandfather was racist. I wasn't going to stop my grandfather from being racist, but with him, the way it was going to stop was he was going to die. And then I had the ability to be more open-minded about the possibilities of acceptance. There's a gentleman in the United States, and I think you guys know who he is, Adam Silver. He's the commissioner in the NBA? A week ago, Adam Silver came out on national TV in the States and he says, I want equality and diversity and inclusion for women. Oh my God. Adam Silver says, we're hiring female referees. I want 50% of the new hires to be women. You know why? Because the man has confidence, he has self-esteem, he has vision, and he wants the world to be better, and he has the ability to make it better because he's in control and he's the boss. He then went on to say, I want more women coaching in the NBA. When I was hired in 2015 by the Sacramento Kings, I was only the second female coaching in the NBA. Today, there's 4 or 5 women coaching in the NBA in different capacities. But I'll say this. I came here in 1981. This is my second time on this Wingate. Can I call it a campus, right? Shai Duran, who is one of your heroes here in Israel in women's sports and basketball. I've known her since she was at Maryland. And she was winning a national championship and also playing in the WNBA. Shai took me here. I didn't know anything about this. It was my first time, sadly, ever in Israel, because I should have been back before that. And she was telling me about this guy. She goes, Nancy, you know, one of the greatest Israeli basketball players is a guy named Omri Caspi, right? You've heard of him? Okay, fake like you do. You know Omri. How would I know in 2015 that I would be his coach? Life throws some really blessed opportunities at you. So Omri, he's trying to get another contract. Do you really think that Omri Caspi cared that I was a woman? Omri Caspi cared because I watched film with him. Could I drill with him? I probably threw that man over 5,000, 6,000 passes in 2015, 16. Because you kind of organically connect to your players. So I had Rajon Rondo, I had Rudy Gay, I had Marco Bellinelli, and I had Omri Caspi. Those guys don't care if I'm a woman. Those guys only care, can I help you? Can I make you better? Can I help you win? What intrinsic value can I give you in your life? And that's why to this day, when I was driving over here in the taxi, I texted Omri and said, hey, I don't know if you're in Israel right now, but I'm here, and I'd love to see you. I'd love to see your family, the baby. Because we built relationships through respect. So again, all these PowerPoints, throw them out the window. Because respect and being open-minded to what people bring to the table supersedes what happened before. I know what happened before, but I'm not living in that world. You're not living in that world. There's young people here, there's guys that you compete against every single day, and we are respected. Things are changing in our world. I'm telling you that it starts with us. Most of you know who Ice Cube is, right? Ice Cube is my boss. He owns the big three. He started the big three. The only reason I left the NBA last year was because my mother got sick and almost died. And I had to make a decision. Talk about one of those women moments. Oh my gosh, I worked so hard to get to the NBA. My mother's sick and might die. In my mind, we say family, we say faith, we say work. What comes first? Fame, money, opportunity, or your family. I chose my family. And I got blessed by doing the right thing. And down deep, I was sad to leave the NBA because I had worked really hard to get there and to make a difference. And then last March, I got a phone call. I'll actually tell you how it went. I was watching the NCAA men's tournament. I happened to be sitting on my couch, but I was flipping back and forth. I was watching Straight Outta Compton. Okay? Some of you know that movie. I'm going back and forth and my phone rings and it's restricted. And I was kind of a little interested who would be calling me. So I hit it and I go, yo, who's this? And the guy goes, yo. I said, well, yo, you called me. Who is this? And he goes, it's Ice Cube. I was like, I'm sorry. Do I call you Mr. Ice? Do I call you Mr. Cute? What do I call you? And he says, look, I know why you left the NBA. I've done my homework. And I was like, how'd you get my number? He goes, I'm Ice Cube. And I said, you know, this is really cool. And he says, Nancy, I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of diversity. I'm a man of opportunity. I would like you to be the first female head coach in a men's professional league. And I was like, what? I was thrilled. Because, I mean, I didn't know if I was going to get back to the NBA. My mom, by the way, is a miracle. She's still alive. She's going to be 90 this summer. Thank you. And he's talking to me on the phone, and he's like, you know, we pass this around to the captains. You know, all the players in the big three are former NBA guys. Everybody that you know, from Amari Stoudemire and beyond. And he says, we talked to some of the captains, and not one guy said, no, we shouldn't hire you as a head coach in this league. He goes, would you consider accepting being a part of us? I said, yeah, I would love to be able to do that. It just made me really feel good that this man would offer this possibility to me that you just sometimes don't know is going to happen. And then he asked me a question before he hung up. He says, Nancy, you can win, right? So then I morphed back into who I really was, and I go, well, you didn't call me because you didn't think I could win. You called me because I can do my job just like anybody else. He goes, that's what I wanted to hear. So if there's a guy on stage today instead of me, and he's like, let me tell you what I did in my career, and I've made billions of dollars, and I've done this, and I've done that, and, you know, we can do this, and you go, man, that guy is like a shooting star. He's amazing. Did you see his confidence? Did you see how he handled himself? I mean, that's the guy for us. Then you see a woman come on stage. Hang on a minute. 1, 2, 3. How come there's all these guys on the wall at a diversity conference? See, it starts here. I'm sorry, I got distracted. So I'm thinking about what this man has given me, this opportunity. And the first thing I did when I got my team together, I said, look, I'm going to meet you guys in LA. See, let me tell you what I don't do. I don't talk in question marks and commas. Will you play hard for me, please? Question mark. I'll be your coach, comma. Are you okay with that? No, I don't talk like that. I'm your coach. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. You're going to be on this team. If not, I'm going to trade your ass. Now. Isn't that ladylike? Isn't that really nice? That a woman in a skirt said ass? When in Rome, know the language. But if I'm on this stage and I'm talking to you and I'm being real with you and I'm just being authentic with you, sometimes people go, man, she's too aggressive. She's an alpha wolf. She's the B word. I've been called the bomb before. Oh, you were thinking something else. I thought so. It's okay to be confident. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be a jerk. But I do have high levels of self-esteem. I've overcome every obstacle. Women, in 2019, it's all there for you. It's laid out for you. You don't have to break down anymore walls and barriers. You just have to go with confidence, belief, and an attitude. I saw Title IX on here. I'm a Title IX baby. I didn't realize when I went to Old Dominion University in 1976 that I was the only full scholarship athlete on the women's basketball team. I thought everybody had full scholarships. And I found out that some of my teammates had slivers. But I didn't know that because the men all had full scholarships, and I thought that's what happens in college. I didn't know when I was graduating that there'd be a women's professional basketball league. And when there was the first women's league before the WNBA, the first thing out of my mouth was, you're going to have to pay me $100,000. And they were like, what? I said, well, that's what Walt Frazier with the New York Knicks makes. If he's getting $100,000, I want to get $100,000. And then I put on paper why I thought I was worth it. This was your attendance last year. If I can get your attendance to 10,000 a game at $8 a ticket, there's this difference. If I can bring you a certain amount of PR that you would have to buy without having me. And I wasn't emotional. I was logical. I have a friend who I've had for over 35 years. His name is Warren Buffett. And he told me back in the early 90s, he goes, never make decisions based on emotion. Never. Because you'll almost always make the wrong decision. Because that's what, we're emotional and we're not thinking right. So we can't always get angry at men. We have to give you a reason. So I'm a minimalist, like this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is going to be the results. So we both have skin in the game here. With men, you can't go, well, come on, I'm really nice. You just got to give me a chance. This is what I'll do for you. This is how I can do it. Just give me this opportunity to show you. And if I screw it up, fire me. I'm not afraid of getting fired, but I'm not afraid of getting hired. So give me that opportunity, and I will prove you right. One of the things, and again, I'm going to be honest. I came to a game here in December to see TJ play. I won't say who it was, but I was doing an interview, and the reporter was talking to me about, not only being the first female head coach in a men's league in the Big Three, but the fact that I was coach of the year and we won the championship. Some of my guys have never won a ring. They play for the chip, by the way. They're all multimillionaires. They're playing for the ring. That's why guys are teaming up with guys in the NBA, because you can't win it by yourself. Nobody in life who's ever been great has done it by themselves. Nobody. So you have to really learn how to be a good team player. It's give and take. In business, in family, in sports. That's how we win. We win together. So when I was talking to our guys, I went around and I said, Quentin, how many championships have you won? None. Corey, how many championships have you won? 0. Catino, how many championships have you won? 0. Ryan, how many championships have you won? 0. And the first thing I realized is my guys had never won. There's only 2 players on my team that won. Big Baby Davis, Glenn Davis, won a championship with the Boston Celtics with Pierce and Garnett and Rondo. And then Birdman, who has more tattoos than all of you guys sitting here, he won 2 with the Miami Heat. Those are the only 2 guys who'd won championships. So it was my job to give them a roadmap to winning. But you should have seen these guys. The first press conference, we're sitting there and a reporter says, well, Nancy, how are these guys going to receive information from you? And I was like, well, we've been telling men what to do our whole lives. Your wife, your mother, your grandma, your aunt, your sister. We've been, men don't know how to take information from us. Of course they do. And if these guys want to be better, and I have something of value, then if I present it the right way, I think we can work on a mutual relationship. So then I'm going to come back to what happened when I was here in December, and I was finishing that interview, and the guy said, do you ever think there'll be a female coach of a men's team here in Israel? And a gentleman came over and said, it'll never happen in Israel. And I went, after you die, it will. And he went, what? I said, I'm sorry, I was talking to you. Can you imagine somebody saying to somebody, you can't be great, or you can't be a good parent, or you can't be a wonderful role model for me? I mean, shame on people for holding us back. And then it made me think of what Ice Cube said to me after we won the championship one day. He texted me and he said, were you ever afraid? I thought it was actually really cool. He calls me NL, but he also calls me his spirit animal. Pretty cool, right? He says, I'm black, you're white. I'm a guy, you're a girl. I'm West Coast, you're East Coast. I think he said, you're old, I'm young. I think he said that. But our values are so in line with each other. And he made a comment. He says, we go over things. We go under things. We go around things. And sometimes we just got to go through things. And it's true. It's not that I want to fight every fight. I don't want to fight. But I don't want you to hold me back either. I want you to respect me. I want you to believe in me. And then I have to give you a reason. If I'm a leader, I have to give you a reason to follow me. Not just because it's noise, or my title says I'm your coach, or I make more money than you, or... No, that's not reasons. That's me trying to bully you into thinking that I'm important or you should listen to me. I have to give you reasons. I want to be my son's hero. I mean, if TJ were here today and he saw some of this stuff or heard some of the things, he'd be mortified. Because my kid is the next generation. He's going to be an advocate for women. He's going to be like this gentleman right here. You were great, by the way. You were fantastic. He's going to, a real champion isn't the one who's lifted up. A champion is someone who lifts you up and lifts other people up. You know, lift when you rise. Help somebody along the way. The first half of my life, I was learning. I was learning so much. The middle part of my life, I was earning. I was starting to earn a living. And it felt good. And at this stage of my life, I'm returning. I'm giving back. That's why I get on an airplane to come here. Because you have to be able to see it, to say it, to be it. I knew that I was supposed to be on the Olympic team for the United States when I was 17 and on the Pan Am team at 16. Everybody said, you're too young, you're too experienced, I got so tired of hearing what I'll never be that I decided, that I wasn't going to listen to that. So when I'm coaching in the men's league and people say you're not supposed to be in the men's league, it's the same thing. You can't tell me that I shouldn't be here. I've worked my whole life. I didn't just wake up yesterday and become a professional athlete or a professional coach. I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. I'm the right person for the right job that I've had as a player, as a coach, as a business person, and as a mom. I work really hard every day at those things. And I don't take anything for granted, ever. Because I know that I'm replaceable. Everybody in this room is replaceable. So you got to work harder. You got to, the person that is your bestie that you're sitting next to today, you guys got to push each other to be better than you thought you could be. Here, I'm in that high five too. Thank you. But it's the truth. I mean, sometimes with TJ, it's hard because I'm trying to be his eyes. I'm trying to be his vision. I'm trying to show him what's ahead. So he, you know, it's that parenting thing. We don't want our children to get hurt. So we become just impatient parents. But they have to be able to navigate for themselves also, like my players. So the one thing that I've said, and I've had great coaches in my life and great people that have mentored me, but you can't be afraid. That's the first step. I am not afraid. Two things can happen. I can win or lose as an athlete. I can get hired as a coach. I can get fired as a coach. I don't have mind monsters in my head. Oh, he likes me. He doesn't like me. My dress isn't nice enough. Maybe they think I'm too whatever, sarcastic or too confident. I don't worry about that. I'm okay with who I am. And sometimes it takes time to get to that place in life. And if you lead with love and you lead with kindness and you have high levels of self-esteem, that's half of what you need to go to that next level. When I was interviewed my first time on a coaching level, I was hired by the Detroit Shock, who owned, the Pistons owned the Shock in '98. I had never interviewed for a job in my life. I actually didn't have a resume. It was a little embarrassing. They said, "Do you have a resume?" And I went, "Here I am." I didn't know what I needed. Okay, but I went there and I laid out what I felt the vision would be for our basketball team, not only on the court, off the court, being profitable, what we were going to do to enhance people's lives, young ladies, and how it was going to affect the community. When you're talking to men, you have to have some meat. You have to be able to show them what we can do. Just, again, don't go in there, well, I'm a girl and you've never had a woman and you should that's not going to work. Men are smart. Chauvinistic, Israel apparently, but smart. So you have to lay out how you can help them. And that's what I've done. That's what I did with the Pistons. It's what I did with the Dallas Mavericks when they hired me to be their head coach of their G League team. And this, again, this is what we're going to do. So you have to be systematic in your approach. But I was also, I talked about mentors. And we all should have somebody in our life that can help us, checks and balance. So when I didn't have any role models that were women, and you mentioned Billie Jean King, and I've known Billie for many, many years. But I didn't really have her at that time as a role model. My hero was Muhammad Ali. I was walking through my kitchen one day. I was 10 years old. And I saw this guy on TV, and he goes, "I'm the champion of the world. I beat Joe Frazier like I beat George Foreman, like I beat Sonny Liston back in 1964. I am too pretty not to be the champion of the world. I am the greatest of all times." And I was like, who is that guy? And I walked into the kitchen, and I looked at my mother, and I went, "I'm going to be the greatest of all times." And she goes, "Why are you talking like that?" "I don't know, but I'm going to make history. I'm going to be the greatest. People are going to want my autograph." And she goes, "I am going to take you to the doctor." And she did. And I just fell in love with this guy because he had such a belief system. So here's the crazy thing about life. The white little red-headed Jewish girl from New York falls in love with the black heavyweight champion of the world. I then go on to the Olympics. I get a scholarship to go to college, which I would have never been able to go to school without a scholarship because we wouldn't have the funds. Old Dominion, they said to me, why are you going to Old Dominion? Nobody will ever see you. You'll never be an All-American. You'll never win a championship. It was crazy. They were so right. I was a 3-time All-American. And we won 2 national championships, and we go 125-14 in my 4 years in college. And Old Dominion sets the bar for women's basketball. We were playing in front of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 every night, playing on national TV. Again, don't let people corrupt what you can be. They can tell you that because they've never been anything. People who told me that I can't do that, they're the ones who never did that. Don't throw your pain on me. Don't throw your insecurities on me. Don't tell me what I can't be just because you're not. That's your problem. That's not my problem. And when you start to be the voice and not be the echo, that's what the PowerPoints were about. It's every one of the speakers here echoed the same thing that people haven't done to help build women up and to make us special and to give us opportunity. And if you keep listening to that crap, that's what we're going to be. Or if you take a stand and say, I'm going to be the voice. You're not going to tell me what I can be. I'm going to tell you what I can be. And then one of you are standing on this stage in 20 years because you came back from Wingate and you just rocked the world. The greatest love of all, I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe, no matter what they take from me. They can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is inside of me. I didn't love me. I was insecure. I didn't know if I was going to kill myself at 8 years old, or if I didn't know what I was going to do until I met Muhammad Ali. And he taught me to love me. With all my warts and all my insecurities, he taught me to love me. And then the most amazing thing happened at 19 years old. I'm asked by the New York Stock Exchange and the USA Olympic Committee to do an appearance back home in New York because we had just won our championship. I go back. I'm going up the escalator with my mom and my best friend Barbara, December of 1979. And I'm feeling good about myself. And I asked the guy from the Olympic Committee, who's the other athlete I'm doing an appearance with? And the guy goes, yeah, we're going in the green room now. I said, who's the other athlete? He goes, Muhammad Ali. I said, he's here? See, he's here in the building? He goes, yeah, we're going to see him right now. Okay, for all this bravado the last 30 minutes, I walked in that room. I couldn't breathe. I walked in and I was like, I couldn't breathe. He was sitting there. And my mother, my little Jewish mother, who talks like this from New York, how are you? And she goes up to him and she puts her arm around his neck and goes, Mr. Muhammad, my name is Rini Lieberman from Queens. And my daughter is the greatest of all times. And she's about this big. And 5 minutes? Okay. And he goes, listen, lady, there's only one greatest of all times, and it's me. So he calls me over, and my heart is just jumping out. And he turns around, and he goes, your mother says you're good. And I'm like, you know, Mr. Muhammad, no, I'm not. I'm the greatest of all times. And he looks at me, and he goes, there's 2 of us? I said, yeah, and I hit people too. He goes, you're going to have to stop hitting people. I said, but they make fun of me, and so I hit him. He goes, stop hitting people. I was like, okay, but you hit people. He goes, I get paid to hit people. to the day we buried him 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago. He was there every step of the way for me. Any big decision, any big moment in my life, he was there. He knew I was going to coach in the NBA before I knew it. He came to my first game in Phoenix. 8 months before he died, he was in the box right behind our bench. Find people who are going to empower you. Find people who are going to support your vision, but then you have to do the work. You must, okay? There's no question mark or comma. You must do the work to be great. And I am so delighted that you would invite me here today to share some of my stories and some of my beliefs. But I wish on everybody here intentional greatness. And this is not a conference on bashing men. It's a conference on creating opportunities for people who can be your equal. And if you're open-minded to being better, and you don't suppress women who want to be great athletes, your daughters, your granddaughters, 80% of young girls who play sports before they get to high school have higher levels of self-esteem, less chance of unwanted pregnancies. In the United States, 80% of Fortune 500 companies right now are hiring athletes, both men and women, for jobs. You can yell at us, you can strategize with us. Our DNA is to win, to take in information. We're good at being teammates, working together for the good of the team. I believe this is what you would want here in this country. You want to be respected around the world. And it has to start with us. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me here. I love the fact that my son plays here in Tel Aviv. If I had prayed for something, it couldn't have worked out any better. So again, thank you so much for having me, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.